says we're live.
Rideshare driver that drives for Uber and Lyft. Joe currently uses multiple phones to efficiently drive for Uber and Lyft. But this can be a pain at times and very unsafe. That was until Joe found Maximo, the rideshare app that automates Uber and Lyft ride requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and passenger rating, to determine which rides are best suited for Joe. When a ride request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will automatically accept the ride request that matches his filters, and then turn off the app that isn't currently on a ride. Once Joe finishes the ride, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to focus more on his passengers and driving safe.
So what's up, everybody? Hopefully we are all unmuted here. Hi, Marissa. The other highs in there are all people that are here. So we'll catch up with that later. So yeah, I've been doing roundtables for a bit. I actually today went back and looked, and the first one we did was well over, like, they were just audio podcast ones, and they're really like unique and always fun. So for the next several weeks, we're gonna do a roundtable on Thursdays, a little bit different, shaking it up. And today, so you'll start to, you'll hopefully we'll get the feel for it, and then you guys will get the feel for it, and we'll go from there. But today, I have four guests. I have Gary Middleton from Middleton Technologies, that way. I have Hannibal Is Hungry right under me, who just finished his own stream, and I have John. Is it Mikaelian?
Yes.
Did I get that right? I only got it right because of Sergio, so now I kind of got the tongue, you know.
Yeah, you got it right.
Thanks, man. So yeah, the four of us, we were hoping on, and potentially still Bryce Bennett dropping by, who is the CEO and founder of Solo. I threw this at him a little last minute, but he is up in Seattle, and I wanted him to be part of the conversation we're going to have about what's going on in Washington, because it's kind of odd. That's what I had to start. So let me first just say thank you for coming. And what's up, Mort? What's up, William? What's up, Marissa again? What's up, Drone? And anybody else that's here, and comment, and we'll get to them. You know, I'm not the best at this, you guys, but I'm getting better. But I will go back and take a look at points. But I'm going to go ahead and start with what we were going to start with, because in case he shows up, we can just jump back into it or whatever. But what happened up in Washington State last week, and then on Saturday, was put into action with Uber, Lyft, the unions, and the drivers. No, those are, Uber and Lyft barely see eye to eye. The unions and the ride shares just can't even be in the same room. The drivers don't agree with any of them. And yet we have an agreement here, and I've dove into it a little bit more because there's some weirdness here. One thing that really bothered me, I don't know if any of you guys noticed or saw anything about how the Teamsters are getting paid, because I think all of us know this. The Teamsters aren't doing this for free out of the goodness of their heart. They're not. And that's the one thing I couldn't really find, is where they're getting their cut of this, or what their end is. Any ideas? If not, I'm going to just kind of move forward here. So what, when I looked into this, it's very odd. So what it is it is allowing Washington State to classify gig workers who are employees as independent contractors. So even the wording says these people are employees, but they're allowed to be classified as independent contractors. Part of this deal includes some benefits, but John, you're in California, so in a minute I want to hear your take on Prop 22 a little bit. But before that, basically, a lot of these states are following that Prop 20 or the AB5 model, and it's not a good road to go down. So what happened here was that in this agreement, and I think this might have been what the unions got out of it. I can't figure out the angle yet. Is in this agreement, they're going to get some benefits. I mean, like, again, it's not something that's going to work out like to be something huge for everybody. But they can be independent contractors. They're going to get some benefits here and there, but the agreement that is made is that they can't now be legislated or overseen by the government, or things can't be put into place to deal with this, which is crazy because it conflicts with what California did with AB 5, what H1234 is, what the New Jersey bill, the other bills, PRO Act, all of those are going to have direct conflict with this. And I don't know. Before we get to any kind of Prop 22, anybody have anything to say about this? Because I find this to be one of the craziest stories out there, and barely anybody talks about it.
I'm looking through it a little bit right now, and yeah, it's bizarre. It's probably one of the most bizarre stories I've seen in terms of the gig industry. Uber and Lyft and a Teamsters union all decided to compromise. All decided to say, yeah, we got something together. Like, obviously someone's on the take, right? There's something's being passed through here. It does not sound like a victory of anything in terms of being an independent contractor. Now, they're saying the drivers are guaranteed benefits, paid sick leave, minimum pay rate, and a resource center for drivers who want to appeal their deactivation. Shouldn't that already be in a resource center for people who want to be deactivated, to have some level of a strategy in terms of someone who's been deactivated to try to figure out can they appeal a decision and not be full of crap? Just like that should already be existed. But paid leave, the whole thing smells fishy to me. Sounds like, and it looks like the drivers not all the drivers are on board with it, obviously. But it's very bizarre. Like you said, Uber and Lyft come together to do what? What I mean? Like that. It's very you can tell something is being done, and in a very nefarious way that's not going to help us as gig workers. That's just my initial thought.
Yeah, no, but I got to tell you, so that's part of the craziness to me. So they're talking about the resolution centers. First of all, I don't see these being things that are going to be huge helps. Maybe they will, who knows? But why are they putting it into a state that was being as hardcore as the other states about pushing legislation like this? Let's get some AB 5 type stuff in here. They wanted it, but now these resolution centers come at a time where Solo has launched fully in Seattle. They've been there a year. They basically are a resolution center. They can solve all your problems, including they deal with deactivations. They deal with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Solo, I'll give the quick breakdown, the quick pitch is because I've talked about them before, but Solo is a company that you go in, you tell them what platforms you work. You show them what you're earning. You show them what hours you worked, or they can see it through there. It's actually dealing with people one-on-one until you get an account set up so that there's no sketchy data stuff going on. And what they do is they take the platforms you work or that you're able to work on, and they say, so for the last 3 weeks, your average has been $22 an hour. Is that about right? And if you're like, yes, they're like, okay, working the exact same hours, not having to onboard to any other platforms. And if just a little manipulation of the platforms you're working, we will guarantee you $29 an hour. Now, if you do what they say and work the times they say on the same hours you're working, and you make 22, they'll pay the difference.
Interesting.
Now, I'm wondering, how does that work, though? And I don't mean to go off on a solo thing, but if DoorTrash is just sending you trash, how does that work? Because if you're not accepting any, they can come back and say, well, you didn't accept any trips.
Well, I mean, they're not going to just throw a number out and be like, $100. I mean, they actually work off numbers, but they're saying, like, especially for multi-appers. So if you work both ride shares, one delivery, Curry, whatever, they can take all of them into account. So they can say, okay, you're not working Instacart enough. And you're like, I hate Instacart. And they're like, well, if you want to make $29 an hour this week, guaranteed, You got to spend half of your time doing Instacart on these hours. So you end up in a position where you might be like, man, I don't make anything on Instacart, but they're telling you they're going to pay it, and they've established a great name at paying it. Do
you think there's some fraud going on with that though?
No,
not with them, but as far as drivers, because I mean they can tell me all day long, go work this platform, but if they don't know which request I'm getting, because they're only tapped into Argyle to see your payouts, they're not tapped in to see your actual request.
I wish he had made it here tonight, because I will say this wrong, but they're somehow tied into your real-time data. So they want where you go, so they're learning from patterns too, like where you're spending your time, why you're not earning there, why, like he's hanging out here doing Rideshare with Instacart on. He's never going to get an Instacart. If we put him here, he'll get twice the Rideshare and he'll get some Instacart, whatever it is. I don't know.
Like I said, I didn't mean to go off on a solo thing. That's a whole nother topic.
No, that's why you're here, Gary, because I always want you to challenge the logical coding part of it, or why or how, and I think it's
as far as the driver's resolution center, I was reading that too. Hold on one second, my headset's about to die. That's actually, did you guys see that? That's actually a 15% per trip surcharge on the riders as well.
Oh,
for the resolution center.
Mm-hmm. For the resolution center, it's a 15. It says right here, driver's resolution center will be paid through a 15-cent per trip surcharge on riders.
So it's going to be like Uber Green Hub, except for now they're going to charge you for Uber Green Hub whether you use it or not.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not going to give you free beacons or free lights or nothing.
The question I have,
and then of course, I'm sorry. One last thing is, the benefits that they're basing your income off of, or the income that or the time. Let's say not even, because it's based off time, not income. It's only based off of kind of like Prop 22, I think it is, or AB5, one of those. I don't know which
Prop
one.
22.
Yeah,
Prop 22 is the one that fights AB5. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, whichever one pays the drivers in California.
22.
Okay, so 22. It's kind of based off that too. It's only done off your active time. So
exactly.
So your sick protection, everything like that. If you're only like on a 10, 15 hours a week, it's going to be very minimal of your benefits.
Right. I mean, if anybody wants, you can pull up the website worksolo.com. There's a lot of information on there about what they do. Super good company. But yeah, I mean, John,
I posted the link in the thing in case for what we're talking about, in case anybody wants to go read it later.
And like podcast wise, I don't know about here on YouTube. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I know any Seattle drivers, but podcast wise, I do. If you're in here or you watch this later or whatever, and you're in Seattle and you haven't heard of With Solo or Solo, go check them out. It's free. They don't charge anything. They just want some data. They want some data of where you're driving so that they can better make their system. Well, so that they can, if you don't do it, they're just going to take it anyway.
What's his name? Omer is in Seattle.
Oh, that's right. Omer isn't. Yeah, Omer's in Seattle. So I'm almost scared to ask you, John. But what
I don't bite.
What do you think of 22? Because I got to tell you, I've talked to where I stand. I'm a complete independent contractor. I have people on who aren't even in the gig economy, who are freelance writers and interpreters, opera house owners, and I work with them as well on a lot of my stuff. So I am fighting AB5 tooth and nail, but even mostly for the people who were screwed out of their businesses of a lifetime. But how do you feel? I've talked to people on all sides of this. How do you feel about Prop 22?
Yeah, personally, I love Prop 22 because you kind of get the benefits of or similar benefits as being an employee without having to be forced in taking orders or forced to do anything that an employee would have to do. So I think it's the best balance between being an independent contractor and being an employee. But I know a lot of people that aren't happy with this. They want that guaranteed hourly. I don't know if you're familiar with GoPuff, but GoPuff here they have an hourly, guaranteed hourly, and they pay out the difference between whatever deliveries you do and then the guaranteed hourly. However, that hourly is going down, and I'm not sure if their hourly is connected to Prop 22 or not. But outside of GoPuff, yeah, I think it's really good because we get 120% of the minimum wage, which I think comes out to about $19-20 an hour. We get 30 cents per mile, and then also they subsidize your healthcare if you work a certain number of hours. I think it's 25 hours a week. Yeah,
right,
personally, I like it a lot.
And that goes up on a sliding scale.
Yeah,
I mean, from what I've heard, the 25 is the subsidies like nothing.
yeah, it's not much. So
I mean,
the more you work, the better the subsidy.
Right. I mean, I was thinking bigger percentages. I was actually told by a multi people that who are also like you, they like Prop 22. That said that those like the 25%, if you work in 20 hours, that you're basically getting, or like them, that they're like it's not even, it's almost immeasurable. It's like 5-10%. It's not, it's almost like they shouldn't be able to call it subsidizing at that low level. But I know that then you get to 30, 35, 40, 40 plus, and those are all different tiers too. I don't know what the highest does, but these are my problems with 22, and I don't live in California. So this is why I give you the credit, because you live there and you're dealing with it. But my problem with 22 is that I watched it from day one and what it was supposed to be, and it's just a huge scaled back version of what it was. I mean, it was supposed to do so much for so many, and it got scaled back. I'm glad that you're happy with it. But yeah, I'm always shocked when people are like, they're really happy with it, because we all know that Uber and Lyft, by spending $208 million on Prop 22, they were doing it to cut us as thin as they could. And so I'm glad that it's working out, but it seems like it could have been more. Also, how many more states can they deal with this and deal with a $208 million problem to fight all the time? I mean, this is getting crazy. And this is a statement, I think, in Washington State. I mean, if they're going to say you can't have any kind of, because I mean, even Hannibal and I, Gary and I, we always talk about like how legislation is going to be coming down. So in Washington State now, there can't be. I mean, they basically signed away the rights to legislation, and it was done in a formal manner. I mean,
but that's state though. That's not federal.
I know, but
federal
this
and state's two different things.
Right.
So I mean, there could still be
the PRO Act.
Yeah, the PRO Act could still come down.
Right,
on it.
but the PRO Act would destroy
I think the states
59 million people as it is. So the PRO Act would just be worse than the San Andreas fault line giving.
I think this is probably more about the state, Uber, Lyft, and all the gig companies. They don't want to sit here and fight forever.
Right.
And I think this is what they're trying to do as a solution. The problem I see with it is they're opting everyone automatically in to it instead of asking people to opt into it. Like you as a gig worker, you have no choice now because Uber, Lyft, and all them negotiated for you, and you have no say.
Right.
Because like it's not like the people in Seattle, they got together, they elected all these Teamsters to go do this stuff for them. They took it upon themselves and said, hey, you know what, John, we're going to speak for you. They didn't say, John, do you want us to speak for you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the most like one of the more bizarre issues that I have with, like, who decided the Teamsters to do this, jump in and make this deal? That's the thing that I don't understand. And like, it seems like Uber, Lyft, and who sponsors this bill? Democrat? think Liz Berry, it says right here.
Well, and you got to remember that
sponsored the deal.
Washington was a state that was trying to go harder than California. Even, I mean, even during the pandemic, they were fighting for gig workers beyond hard and like just trying to make it unionized.
It's a progressive area. So
okay, so but why is the union in there? Why is the Teamsters in there? Because the Lyft and Uber both, their devil is the Teamsters and the unions. That is their worst enemy in the world. That's what they hate. That's what they fight everywhere. So what are they agreeing on?
Well, the Teamsters are going to get paid from it as well. They don't do it out of their kind hearts.
That's what I'm saying. You and I said that same thing. That of course they're going to get paid.
Nobody does anything for free. It's just not how the world works.
So is this going to become another situation where everybody's like, yeah, and then it becomes floor payment and you can't go out and really earn for those of us that even still with these crappy rates know how to earn?
What do you mean? Is it going to be a floor? Like
once they start saying you're going to make this much, there's the perks, here's this, that, and the other, they kind of figure it out. You're going to make at least $16 an hour, but you've been making $35 an hour. And you're
I think this is a minimum, though. It's not a cap.
Right. Yeah, I know. But this is what we've seen before, is that when they do these and impose these kind of things, that the drivers who were making 35 can no longer do that. Maybe they're making 22 at most. Like their high comes down. Because
why do you think that is?
Because I think that once they impose something like, let's call it $18, $20, right? Once they do that, the people who are lazy, who aren't good at this, who are not taking rides, they're going to get that money too.
Well, and that's why I don't think that all those people don't earn it because they can't. I just think whenever you guarantee somebody something, they do less. Right. I mean, that's like
exactly.
any job in the world. Once you're salary, you don't work as hard as if you're hourly. Like salary employee, oh, you want me to do 70 hours? Nah, I ain't doing that. Oh, we'll give you overtime as an hourly employee. I'll do it all day long. Yeah. And that's just how it works. So whenever you're guaranteeing a minimum,
that's what I'm saying.
That's the type of work you get.
That's what I'm saying, is that once they guarantee that the people who make $4 an hour and are sitting at home trying to, I'm not going to use food or anything, but rideshare. You're sitting at home in Seattle in an area that doesn't get a lot of rides, and you're like, why am I not getting any? And you make $4 an hour and complain. And then there's people out there hustling who know exactly where to be, who make 35, 40. I mean, New York tried this for a while. Hannibal, I know you didn't do rideshare, but you probably remember this. And a lot of drivers I knew in New York, same thing happened. They ended up being like, dude, I'm like, they had to pick blocks of times that they could work. And that was partially due to the cap on vehicles in New York City as well. However, they were having to pick blocks, and all of a sudden the earners were like, I can't earn anything.
Yeah, it's this is something that, again, if Uber and Lyft love the bill, there's a problem with the bill. Like they love it, it's a problem with the bill. It can't be it'll have to be something where they're, through negotiation, there's some concessions that have been made that you may not want to concede, but you decided because you need to get this done. So the idea that the Teamsters, and they may seem they care about the workers, to be on board with it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I understand avoiding dealing with corporations. You don't want to deal with it's very expensive to have these ballot initiative fights. You can't spend Uber and Lyft. And then again, I think with the Teamsters, and I think a lot of people who are trying to get the government to do more to control the companies, they rely on Democrats, right, to push for more improvements of what they consider improvements over time. So I don't know if that's a thing that they're deciding. The Teamsters is like, hey, listen, let's just get this deal done. We can't afford to fight Uber and Lyft, and then let's use the government as a weapon to get more of the things that we think make sense.
Yeah. I mean, your first words are the ones that grab me. If Uber and Lyft like it, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the Teamsters are there. And then the drivers are on board. So these are people that you don't put into a room together. And they did, and they came out and said, "We're cool." and everybody's like, "Wait, you're all on the same page?"
Yeah, corporations and politicians, they tend to get along, right? I mean, obviously, but the union reps are, and again, union, like Gary said, we didn't pick who decided that they were going to be the ones to represent. It was like, I don't know. I mean, they have a small group of drivers that are along with this, but not all the drivers in the state decided, hey, we want them to negotiate for us. It's crazy,
right? I mean, I'm guessing what Gary's saying is that once they just, it's same as like what New York tried with those when they were doing those blocks. Once they establish, I mean, I think it was $27. That's what they said you made an hour doing rideshare, guaranteed, $27 an hour. But after the union or this taken out or that or this and expenses and all this, you were left with basically 16 or something like that, 17. So it sounded good to people, but it wasn't what it appeared to be.
Well, I think the reason why Uber and Lyft like this so much, because if you read through it, they reference employee status.
Yeah,
I think and like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
and that I don't know why everybody's pushing for employee status, because there should really be no reason why you can't have independent status and benefits, or some type of stuff. But all these people, the Teamsters, all these rideshare.
Well, they're employees like that will be called, that can be called independent contractors.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is everybody's trying to push though for employee, even in California.
Yeah.
The Rideshare Drivers United, they was pushing for employee status. Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of drivers. I know you guys talk to a lot of drivers. I've never met a driver that says, "Yeah, I want to be an employee." I just haven't.
It's funny, man. I actually have talked to a couple only because I've had Vina Dubal on, I've had Willie on from the Gig Worker Collective. I've always kept my hand in both sides enough to at least, but every time I do have those people on, I don't agree with them. And I just do it nicely though. You know what I mean? You don't have to scream at people, but sometimes you got to, we can't always just be on the same page in a room. And I've always thought that, like, it's good to get out there and talk as long as you're not going to yell. But I've heard those other sides. So I actually have talked to a couple drivers, but I'm with you. If I just randomly, when I'm talking to drivers, they are like, no way. And even if they're working it full time, they're still like, no way. It has nothing to do with if it's like, hey, I only do 10 hours. I don't want that taken away because it's flex. And it's not even that. It's even full-time people are like, mm-mm.
Yeah, no. You could not get me to do any gig work as an employee. I would quit.
Me too.
Right. Yeah.
Simple as that. And I know we all throw up flexibility as the reason. And when we say flexibility, I don't think most people understand what we mean by flexibility. It's not like, oh, I have to wait on this company or I got to wait. No, that means I can choose whether or not I want to work. I can get up and say, you know what, I'm going to go skiing with Steve in Colorado. I ain't working.
Right.
That's true flexibility. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to work at the busy times or you don't have to save up money. I ain't working. Things like that.
Right.
That's true flexibility. Now I got feedback somewhere.
So I see, hey, Arturo, that wasn't the one I was trying to do. Marissa says, not all drivers will even get hired. Yeah, exactly. under an employment model. However, this thing that just happened up in Seattle allows them to work anytime, flex, whatever they want. They can still just work it how they have.
I'm just interested in, because Seattle could be a little bit of a wacky place. That whole area over there. So, but the reason why you even bring this up and talk about this, Steve, is you got to see how certain states handling things, because other states will look at it and say, it seems like that's working or not working, or hey, let's implement that. And especially if it's a very liberal place. So even New York next year, they're going to have basically a base wage or a minimum, and they wrote. I looked at the website, said the city will decide. I was like, who's the city? Like, who's deciding this? Like, any names of people that are considering, like, who is going to decide this number? Is it going to be people who run a business, understand courier work or any of that? Is there going to be a politician or a lawyer somewhere making up this number? And it's going to happen next year. Like I think it's next year they're going to have this number. That's a problem when you're in certain parts of the country. They're going to have these very progressive kind of laws, and I'm not saying being progressive is a terrible thing, but they're going to be consequences for these kinds of legislations that's going to happen.
Absolutely. I honestly, I gotta wonder too that, in California, for instance, AB5 happened and they were like, sweet. And then they kind of gave that, well, Uber, Lyft, on the 1st of January, that law went into place. So you got to start following it. And they're like, no.
Yeah, we're going to leave, right?
Right. And they're like, no, we're not gonna. We don't like it. And they're like, no, seriously, or else, we're going to start finding you. And they're like, well, we'll just move out of the state. And they put that threat out there, and it was the last night that, like at midnight, it was supposed to terminate. I mean, it literally was in like the last minutes. It was like watching like NFL trades or something. It was like a last minute deal. Like, okay, fine, because they knew the whole transportation system of California was going to be wrecked.
Yeah, they called their bluff. That's what they did. They called their bluff.
Yeah, they're like, we will shut it down tonight. So
well,
no worries.
Uber did that though in Texas. Like they had no problem with it. That's how Ride Austin came about. Is the city of Austin came in and said, hey, Uber, we need you to pay all these fees and licenses, and Uber's like, nah, just pulled out. One day, just left.
Yep.
No, we're good.
Yeah, that's what Uber said. They say,
that's the great thing about an SAS platform. It's probably just a switch.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
we're done in Austin. Just the Austin switch.
They got a map, a whole bunch of buttons, like the Simpsons. When they had the nuclear map, just beep.
All right, you guys just lost Austin. No rideshare.
Steve, so as you brought this up earlier with Solo, do you think these kind of startups that are happening? You think Uber is even looking at him or Lyft? Like,
yeah. Well, Solo, yeah. Solo is now in Miami, and I swear it was Tampa. I mean, again, I'm not quite as tied in with them as I am with like Curry. However, I've spoken with him on many occasions. For whatever it means, Harry Campbell's invested in this. Some other people are invested in this who care, and they have the city's approval. Solo has done in the first year. They've had both their rounds of funding. They cracked around 70 to 90 million between the two. So they're a very well sought after company. They work. Some of the staff is from Argyle, and I know that they're doing a lot of stuff that I won't even get into right now. I'm sure Gary's getting this already, where they're wanting to know everything. Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are the cars going? Where are people going? Like they're starting to plot for whatever reasons. Maybe it's to sell to Google Maps. Maybe who knows, man. But again, that wouldn't be
all those companies do that though. They take that data and they use it for city planning, things of that nature.
Right.
Emergency relief.
But I don't think we've seen a company that legally can or has tapped into these big giants and they're able to follow their vehicles. In fact, that usually pisses them off a lot. Like whoa, or
it could be that it could be that they're working out deals with these giants too.
Yeah, maybe.
Whenever you're that big of a company, you got that much funding, sometimes I know everybody says, oh, Uber and Lyft hate each other. If you don't think the CEOs of those two companies talk crazy.
Oh yeah. And also you don't have to look at this as you just made a good point, Gary, because you don't have to look at this as like well, these companies hate each other, do they? Because Solo is trying to make everybody the most money they can based on the platforms they work, and they're trying to take information in to make that happen. Why would these platforms want to oppose a company like that and even look worse? I mean, they're like, fine, as long as we have a bunch of drivers, we don't really care if they're optimizing it. Great. I mean,
Right.
I know we
Especially
all
if
like to
they're
think that
telling
they're
the
all like,
drivers that.
let me
Yeah.
count my money. Let me just throw it
Yeah.
all over. I hate people, like, but I mean, there's some people in these organizations who are just trying to have a living and have maybe some care of other people. I don't know.
I would think that.
Yeah, I would like I said, I would think that someone at Solo, and I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I would think that they have some kind of advocate at Solo for all these gig companies,
Yeah.
and they communicate somehow. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if anybody ever came to your business and said, "Hey, I'm going to help you be more profitable," and you turned them away, I mean, that's a terrible business strategy.
Just like when I told you, Gary, about the Curry jobs that were open for good pay for like coding and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at work solos, they're even paying more for like stack engineers, all this kind of weird, like these jobs that just pay. I know it's expensive to live up in Seattle, but they pay ridiculous amounts. It's on their website.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why are all these tech companies moving to Seattle?
I know, right? Like, hey, we got to get out of California. It's too expensive. Let's go to Seattle. But, and then it's like, why are you moving from AB5 to the next AB5 when they're both equally as, I don't know. I don't know if that'll continue forever. People are moving to Florida and Austin.
Well, I know Uber has that major big headquarters there in Dallas.
Yeah.
Because that's where they was going to move if they left California.
But are they even open yet? In fact, last time I remember it was just closed.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's jump off this for a little bit because, I mean, I just think it's crazy it's happening. I think it's crazy that, I mean, you guys hear me talking about this all the time, and that all four parties in this state agreed on something. I sense nothing but disaster. Just that's my prediction. With this, either that it just almost dies out of the gate, like they're like, okay, it starts tomorrow, and then like by the end of the week they're like, this is dumb, no way. Or like people automatically out of the gate are like, dude, are you kidding me? I think you're gonna get a lot of those people who are like, I can't earn anymore, like, because there's always a lot of people who earn even as the rate goes down and whatnot. Maybe they use Gary's apps, maybe they're using apps and they know where to be and they've got their filters set and they're like, dude, you just screwed everything up for me. Because now I'm only getting floor payment.
Doesn't look good from what I've read so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that by making here's my last take on it. So I think that by making that everybody's going to get a certain amount of money on these gig platforms, that you're making it so the people who don't ever earn that much are going to have to they're going to have to take against the big earners' money, because they're not going to make up more money. They're going to have to find a way to squeeze the big earners and get them all in line for a certain price point, almost like a job. And at that point,
yeah,
who knows? So we'll jump into a softer topic here. So, what is up with these dashers stealing batches, and how can it end? Because it's just a photo, and I was blowing my mind up trying to figure this out. Do you know about those?
Stealing what? Batches?
Or stealing their orders?
Oh, okay. I was like, batches.
Right, but did you hear this? Do you know about this?
How they pick up the order and they don't hit confirm, they just walk away or unassign it?
No. They take the delivery, they put it on the door,
they
take the picture,
and walk away with it.
The bag.
Well, see, here's the thing with DoorDash though. You don't actually, like, the people inside, they won't get a notification until you send it. So if you take the picture, don't hit submit, and then grab the bag and walk away and hit submit in your card, they're never going to know it's at the door until you're already drove off. Unlike Uber, whenever you do Ubers, you take a picture and Uber automatically sends it right then.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're done. Like, here's your money because you finished the job. So now this is a weird complaint, but it's not like a few people are doing it. A lot of people are doing this.
One of the things that I noticed with it, sorry, Hannibal, I was just going to add that whenever you take a picture with a DoorDash app, it actually sends the picture to the customer in the messaging in the inbox area before you hit submit, so the customer does get the picture.
Oh,
Right.
right away, right after.
Yeah,
you...
right away. Yeah, I've noticed that. I take a
Oh.
picture right before I hit confirm. I go back to messages and the picture's sent to the customer
Before you finish the delivery.
Correct.
Oh wow.
So the things I've seen, nobody's been caught by the apps. People have been caught by Ring doorbells.
Yeah.
They're like, they set it down, they take a picture, they grab it, and they run. They run to their car.
Now, how many of those do you think are real though? Because okay, well,
It's happening.
First, let me see. Where did you see it at?
TikTok.
YouTube, YouTube, and
I mean,
and some other print media too, stuff too.
Yeah, I know it happens, but like,
No,
I'll scroll
this,
on TikTok.
This craze has
and
been
then,
going on about a month though.
Yeah, like I'll see it happen on like TikTok, but I mean, some of those just seem like so set up.
Oh yeah, dude, that could be the. I mean, I play with. I make my TikTok channels the only thing that of all my stuff that I do that's just kind of a joke. I just make funny things, and I mean, it is business related. Like I've plugged you, Hannibal. You know, like you guys don't even know it, but I've done like videos for you guys.
I have to go look.
It's not like I'm like, you know, like being like weird. I'm just doing weird plugs for people, so you'll have to.
It's fine, Gary. It's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too crazy.
And I tag you in there. You know, I always tag you guys. And if you don't have a handle, I tag a hashtag. I don't know what I'm doing on Twitter, so it's the one platform I just let myself have some fun with.
You mean TikTok?
TikTok.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, this wasn't TikTok stuff. I mean, and again, this isn't just something going around either. Like, or this is something that's happening right now. Like, in different markets, like, and then people are getting caught by these Ring doorbells. I think that's pretty funny, but at the same time, like, what is the solution? I mean, how would you, I mean, because at that point it's just like a hearsay thing. It's like, well, I dropped it on the door.
But
yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea for deactivations, right? Like the idea of being deactivated and trying to find a way to be reactivated. It's a he said, she said stuff. So that the door, you know, Ring doorbell. And I tell everyone, like, always assume you're being taped no matter where you are, especially, you know, I live in New York. There's a camera every couple of feet. So, people still do this type of thing. And it's just DoorDash, whatever background check they have is not working. They get everyone. I mean, I just heard a story. It had nothing to do with stealing food, but it was very crazy. It was a guy decided to go back to a house of a woman that he delivered from before. She recognized him. She breaks it. He breaks in the house, assaults her. It's like, these are the kind of people we have delivering food to people, going into intimate areas of, you know, going into people's houses or being in people's buildings. And as long as DoorDash and all these other companies just have this mass hiring, if you want to call it hiring, of getting people and not really vetting them, these kind of things going to continue to happen.
Yeah. Well, and then that's how it always is going to be. Then I'm gonna, you know, it's like those crazy people who say, they need to start like doing background checks on passengers. Yeah, please, people. Fine, right? No, nobody's gonna like say I want a rideshare app, and yeah, you can do a background check on me. Why not? They just want to ride, dude. If you push that, then they're just going to take a taxi, no matter what they think of them.
I was going to say that with the Dasher stealing food, wouldn't they already get deactivated if the customer's report or never arrived a couple times?
Well, see, but that's what I'm saying about the hearsay. Like, what if, if let's use Uber, because, you know, we're talking about more real time with some of the others, but like with Uber Eats, if you take the picture, then you did your part. You picked the food up, you delivered it, you took the picture, you've done everything they've asked to get your money. So now you grab the bag and run. And if you're not caught on a camera and they get there and they're like, the bag isn't there, and you're like, well, I left it there. I know they might deactivate you, but there's a lot of companies fighting deactivations on our behalfs now, law firms and things. Like, are they just going to deactivate everybody who gets a claim against them? Because then I'll tell you that what will happen is the next thing will be people saying their order didn't show, getting the Dasher fired when their order does show.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. I think that the idea that we have, I don't know, it's really hard to kind of wrap your head around it because Grubhub, the new, I guess, violation policy. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's not clear at all. They say it's clear. It's not. But the idea they say it's supposed to be a pattern of behavior. So one situation should not deactivate you. But I've heard people who have been deactivated. I received a contract violation for food not being there. But I of course I left it there. So, but I, did the whole thing, didn't take it off. I did my 100 deliveries, it got taken off. So patterns of behavior should be targeted, not one-time issues, because anything can happen. Someone else could have grabbed it. I've definitely, I'm sure, people claim this, when you walk up to the building, walk up to the house, a random person, oh, that's for me. And sometimes if you don't put the effort of accident name or accident information, you can hand that person a bag, had nothing to do. He just showed for a free meal. Like certain things happen, but you would hope that the company would understand patterns of behavior rather than one-time occurrences.
Maybe it's people just getting in front of this, like, dude, pretty soon we're going to have to hand them all over. Right now it's still, a hybrid model. But forever, for the last, year and a half, it's been don't go near the people, just set it down. And I mean, like apartment complexes, like how could you ever argue an apartment complex? I opened the door, it wasn't there. Well, do you have neighbors? Yeah, well, they probably stole it. I don't know.
And neighbors, certain neighborhoods, certain buildings steal boxes of Amazon stuff all the time. So it happens. And as a gig worker, you kind of just out there on your own. And that's the idea of the appeals process of deactivations. It should be robust. It should be very easy to do and something where they can put some level of investigation. But no, it's like I said, he said, she said, you hope it kind of works out. And then not, you go to these other companies that help people get reactivated. And now that's the industry, right? Like you can, I think, I forgot who had it. Was talking about the one that was talking about Rideshare Professor. Was talking about his company reactivating rideshare drivers. It's like that's a whole industry now of getting people reactivated.
Right. Well, yeah, I think his company is Legal Rideshare, which I mean, I think he's just involved with them. Like I have a referral for Legal Rideshare too. So those guys are awesome. They do a lot of great work.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I don't understand those I'll get you reactivated companies. Because, I mean, all they can do is just send a notice on your behalf.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't actually force anything.
No. But like Legal Rideshare isn't like an ambulance chaser or whatever. Like they're not just out for deactivations. This is something new for them. And they ask for dash. Like I had I've had friends who I refer to them and they'll get back to me and say they asked for my dash cam footage. Bryant, who's the CEO founder, I talked to him and he said that he reviewed it and I don't have a case, and they would just kill it there, or else they'll say, yes, we can.
So did they actually sue Uber and Lyft at any point?
No, but I think like, even for an Uber and Lyft, anything that comes from an attorney, if it's like just activate him again, unless he committed an assault or something.
Right.
I think it's just like, they're just like, dude, just fine. It's like that button board again. Like, fine. He's back on.
That's a lot more pins for all the drivers they got, though. That's a lot more buttons.
I heard.
Damn it, we did. Who did
though.
Steve? We did not mean to do Steve. It's supposed to be Sam.
But I mean, like maybe I was trying to think outside the box a bit, and could it be solved where? Why can't you? It's not like food is left out there for an hour. Why? And maybe a lot of you food delivery people who really love that space are going to not agree with this. I don't know. But why can't it be that you drop it, you take the picture, and until we get back to a society that's anywhere near normal, where you can hand something to somebody and say, hi, are you having a nice night? Great. But until we're there, why can't you take the picture, do all the things you're supposed to do, and then you can't leave the location until they say they've picked it up?
Well, see,
what are the negatives there?
Whenever you do a leave at the door, I think a lot of people misunderstand what that means. That don't mean just drop it and walk off. You're actually supposed to drop it, step back, wait for them to get it at the door. That's what it's supposed to be.
See, I'll tell you this right now. I don't use it all the time. I cook for my son and I a lot here. But like, you know, I will use those services from time to time. When I have never once seen a Dasher or an Uber Eats driver. And if I've seen a car pulling away, but I'm telling you, like, I don't live in a mansion. Like, when they knock on the door, I'm not that far. By the time I'm there, they're already leaving. I'm like,
but they're hustling and running, trying to get.
I know. So I mean, none of them here anyway do that. None of them are like, hey, all good.
I think it's just a norm now that everybody just drops it and leave. But like, if you order Domino's, you know, they do contactless delivery. Yeah. They will put it on top of their bag at your door. They'll step back about 50, 100 feet, wait for you to get it, go inside your house, and then they come and pick up their bag. They don't walk away from it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Like I had to get on my Ring doorbell one time and say, "Hey, you can go ahead and leave." He's like, "No, I can't."
So I see Bud Soda. I saw William here. I see Kyle. A lot of big Dasher people. And I guess my question about that is to those guys is like, if here would be the perk. If after you dropped it, you took the picture, you did what you normally do, and then to the passenger or the customer on the app, it or something comes back up saying, you know, please confirm you got your food. And that's it, just a text or whatever. And you just touch something and it does. And the next flow screen real quick is, you know, hey, was the service good? Would you like to add a tip? Another step of adding a tip.
I think they do. Currently, they do, like, when you finish, they do ask a question. How was
if you
it?
Go back to the app?
If you go,
most people just close it, get their food, eat, and then open their phone the next morning, and they don't open the app again until the next time they are going to use it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
my for whatever, I cannot tip and if I leave an upfront tip, I cannot tip again after the DoorDash driver's left.
Yep,
it does not let me.
You can't change it.
Nope. It does not let me do anything. Now Grubhub, I can do it on Grubhub until they drop it off. I can change the tip on Grubhub, and on Uber, of course, I can change it at any time on Uber.
Up to an hour.
Well, yeah, up to an hour. I'm saying at any time in between the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was trying. I was actually writing I wrote a 2-line comedy joke about. Okay, yeah, here it is. About so this is a wife and a husband ordering from any of them, and she's like, hey, did you put the tip in? And he says, yeah, but don't worry, I can take it out.
Wow.
You know, I see that a lot on like Reddit and stuff.
Are you gonna start stand up, Steve? Do some stand up.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, I actually see that on like Reddit posts and all that. Like people, like other customers are telling other customers, "Hey, just put a high tip. You can remove it later."
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
and that's. I mean, I will tell you that, and John, I would think you would know the most about this because all my driver friends in San Francisco and LA, I asked Mort last night if he's ever been tip baited. He's been doing this since 2017, and he said never. My friends in San Francisco and LA are tip baited every week.
Yeah, but look at the cost of living there.
That makes it okay.
I mean, I'm not saying it makes it okay, but it's just
I got rent to pay.
I mean, rent's due tomorrow. We had to eat. I mean,
you know
I'm
what?
not saying it's okay. I'm just saying it's expensive out there.
I really think it depends on what market you're in. I'm actually in the suburbs. I'm in a very good market outside of downtown LA, so I would think like areas like West Hollywood. I honestly, I think it's the type of people you're delivering to.
You're in the same neighborhood as Sergio, aren't you?
Yeah, next door. Yep, he's in Granada Hills. I'm in Northridge.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I haven't been tip baited, and I might be, you know, every once in a while, but I'm in a really good market where, you know, a lot of people, it's an upper middle class neighborhood, and you know, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but you know, they're very Christian, so you know, maybe they believe in, you know, helping the driver out and all that stuff, but I would say downtown LA, West Hollywood, West LA, maybe those areas are more prone to tip baiting than other markets in LA.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
never,
saying
I never had
I
that
like
issue
how you
either.
explained it
never
because
had that
what I
issue.
really think you meant is they're afraid of the devil.
Yeah,
I
I'm
live in
like
a Christian
Hannibal.
area, and
I've never
they're
had an
afraid of what
issue
might
either.
happen to them.
Like I think I've been tip baited maybe once in the whole time, maybe
Yeah.
twice. Instacart, different story.
Yeah.
Instacart all the time. All the
Right.
time on Instacart, yeah.
I mean, I can tell you with Rideshare and all the rides I've done, I've never been tip baited because I never got tipped.
Yeah, now rideshare, yeah. Now if
But you
count,
can't be tip baited anyway.
yeah,
You don't
if
see
you
it,
if you count all the times I've been like, oh, I'll leave your tip on the app, then I've been tip baited a lot. For
I mean,
rideshare.
I'll tell you, I live in a great market for cash tips. When all the years I drove, however, I think that people don't have cash on them anymore that much.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it keeps
not really.
becoming less and less and less. Like actually, when all people used to complain about tips, at the end of a night, I would do well. I would pull out all my cash tips, and it would be good. The good tippers made up for the other crappy ones, and I'd be happy with my night.
That's called Instacart, right? Put the good tip with the bad tip order, put them together. And
Right.
Multiple
Those
DoorDash-
stacked
they're
orders.
supposed to be happy with that.
DoorDash,
They all do it now. Yeah, they all do it.
Yeah, they all
actually.
do it now. They all try and combine the lowest paying order with something else.
Yeah. So let me I didn't ever say hi to everybody here because
Yeah, Kim's here, William's here.
I'm having to go way back. Okay, so
Do we have any rideshare drivers in the chat? I think everyone, all the ones I recognize are do food delivery.
Yeah, all of them. That I
let's
see there
let's
do
see.
food
William,
delivery.
Mort, Drone, Bud Soda, Dasher Pass, Kyle, Rideshare. Lisa does rides.
You know what's strange is I started doing rides again with my new car. I just started doing it again, and like for the first time ever, I got to a ride yesterday, Uber ride, and it said enter PIN number. I'm like, what PIN number? Never seen that thing in my life. They didn't send me no email about it. They didn't give me a little drop down notification. I was like, what the hell's it? And I'm asking this old man in the back. He goes, I don't know what that is.
What was it? Just two-factor authentication or something?
No, it's in all my rides since then have asked me for. I guess they're sending it like after they book the ride, they give them a PIN number to give the drivers.
I think it's because sometimes people order rides and they have someone else take the ride. That's probably why.
You mean drunk people getting in the wrong car?
I don't know. It's
No, like let's
every
say I
passenger.
order a ride and then but someone else like I have my friend get picked up, so I ordered a ride for them. So
Yeah.
that's probably why.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, this is the first time I've ever seen it. Was yesterday, but every ride since then, every single one needs a PIN.
Right.
And so it's not like, oh, this one random person. No, it's every ride.
No.
And like I said, they didn't send any notification or anything.
I remember they made it. They did give some information for Uber Eats the PIN exchange, which kind of makes sense because they said it's random, but I don't think so. I think it's probably either a Uber Eats customer who keeps complaining that they either don't get their orders late. They're like, okay, next time someone comes to you, you have to give them a PIN, and they give you one, so they ensure that you got something because you went, Uber Eats driver would not have that PIN. So I'm wondering, but for rideshare, that's kind of confusing.
Well, I know in like Australia they do it for Uber, and I want to say Uber and Diddy. I'm not sure about Zoomy and Ola though, but I know that they use a PIN number down there a lot as well.
Mm.
So,
yeah, I mean in London they just use RF readers, which makes tons of sense, but. You just wear a badge around your neck that has an RF, and when they get to the car, they're like, "This is your car." Okay, great. But yeah, so Kyle, Rideshare, Lisa, William, Roy, Drone, Pedro, Rudy, Arturo, Kim.
Bud Soda said he got tip baited from a $30 tip down to a. What is it? 2-cent tip?
Wow.
How's that possible?
Truth.
See, I would think that they would limit how much you can take away at least. Like you shouldn't be able to take the whole thing away.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we've talked
crazy.
about this a little bit before. Like, why? If you're I always think these kind of things discourage that kind of junk. Is if you want to take the tip away, you have to call or you have to fill out a certain number of characters that are submitted. You can't just go log in, not have to talk to anybody or have to chat with anybody or anything, and just swipe a $40 tip off something on a $160 order that somebody busted for. You shouldn't be able to do that. You should have to have a reason. And maybe it's just a tally that shows in your app, just like how they use fear tactics with acceptance rates for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, why can't they use like kind of like a little tally mark of how many times these people have like filed something?
Oh, I'm sure.
Just for psychological stuff, thinking like, guys,
I'm sure they keep a track of complaints, but I doubt that they keep track of how many times the tip has been changed, because they don't care. At that point, they already paid the fees for delivery.
Except for, we all know that if you put a big tip in, even if they're not showing it all, Uber itself treats that order like gold. It wants it, right? I mean, it's gonna push it along. So people are gonna fight for that order. I mean, like, if they keep if you're doing that, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
I know you say people are going to fight for that order, but lately with this, how fast these crappy trip radars are going off my screen.
Oh my God.
There's not much fighting. People are literally taking everything.
I've been spending
I don't get it.
I've been spending a lot of this week talking to people about radar, and I cannot believe I mean, to me, it seems like here's my breakdown very quickly. I think it's a quick flash, like, dude, you should take this. And if you're like, damn, I should have taken that. But you have to grab it so quick and you'll end up getting crap. It'll be the worst thing out there, but it's something psychological again, just like always.
Well, like I know today in Uber's first time I've ever had Uber call me, and I didn't even do Uber today at all. They called me and goes, well, why are you not accepting these long pickups?
Because they're garbage.
That's what I told them.
You know, so before we leave the topic of rideshare here was I think you wrote it last. I think I can't remember where you wrote it, Gary, but you wrote something about, and I do this too. That's why I'm laughing. You wrote that you always negotiate for long distance rides.
I do every single time.
So I do too, because you're coming back and yeah, I mean, just
I don't get paid to drive back. I don't get paid to drive
and you
back.
get paid way better in your market than I do for the same type of X driving. So
right,
I get it. So here's my thing. Where is a place that this happens sometimes, and like your worst place that I could have as a destination
in my market?
Yeah, like what would you just hate to see?
Oh, I don't want to leave the Space Coast area.
Okay, so but it's taking you 90 miles out.
No, 90 miles would take me away from Space Coast.
Okay, so
I got about a 40 mile range, 45 mile range max. Right. That I can go and keep my same pay.
Right. Let's say you're not as smart as you are. And then you're just somebody that 90 mile route, I'm gonna grab it. And you grab it and you want to negotiate with me. I'm getting in the car and I'm like, thanks for picking me up. Pitch me. How does it go?
Oh, I mean, it depends on where they're going. Like sometimes, like I'll get stuff from here to Orlando, and like long trip in my market doesn't mean it's going to Orlando. It could be going from here to Port Canaveral, and that's still considered a long trip. And I will do that because it's still the same rate. But whenever I get one that's going from like here to Orlando, now with the upfront, I can tell and I can just decline it.
Right.
But if before that I just get there and be like, hey man, I didn't realize that you're actually going to the airport. I was like, that takes me to another market and they don't pay me to drive back. If you like, I can go ahead and cancel the ride. You can find another driver, or if maybe you want to pay half the fare so I can get back without driving for free, I'll be glad to take you up there.
They are clowning you in this card that you ain't got.
I don't have a card.
I don't have anything on.
I don't.
Why am I getting a club?
Whoops.
Oh, that's Hannibal. I'm over here closing out tabs thinking it was me. Like, I mean,
I'm sitting here trying to search something. My bad.
But most of the time, if you're really upfront with people about what's going on,
Yeah.
they're more likely to get that honest. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Very rare do I get somebody like that's just complete, jackass about it. Like, no, you got to take me. Like, I don't think I've ever had that. They just like, oh well, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and cancel it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, at that point, you're going to have to cancel. You don't want them to, because if they didn't, or so they could really say, dude, this guy approached me, hit me up for money.
Well, no, I've actually had Uber tell me that I can negotiate it. Like,
I mean, you should be able to. I agree. I didn't know you could.
I've never seen anything in the terms of service that says I cannot negotiate an extra tip. There's nothing that says it. I cannot take a ride for payment or a ride for payment outside of the app. What they're giving me up front there,
right?
It's not for the ride. It's a tip so I can get back home.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it.
They're not paying me for a ride because I've already dropped them off. And so, but I mean, like I would always negotiate it. Period. Like. Now with the upfront information, it makes it a lot easier. Like I got, one other day and it told me that it was going to Orlando Airport. And I was like, no.
That's interesting. Real quick. The idea of negotiating, because I thought the idea that, with Uber, like we already had a set price, you already paid, you already setting up. That's why the whole idea of tipping and cash exchange is supposed to be eliminated. When I guess, I don't know, my idea of when Uber first came, there was none of that because it's all preset, before you even get into the car. So it's a good idea that you should do that. I'm just wondering, does it just brings more more issues of arguing with the customer or the client, whatever you want to call them, rather than just kind of dealing. Like you looked at it and already declined it, but you accept it. Like I'm trying to figure out how.
Well, like right now with Rideshare, or at least I don't know about every market. I don't know if this is every market, but in my market now, it'll tell me that if it's going like it'll give me cross streets like Orlando or something like that. Before that, it would just pop up and say 45 minutes plus. It wouldn't tell me where it was going. So like I said, 45 minutes in my area could be from here to Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
That's I still get paid the same rate. I get $1.02 a mile or something like that. If it's going to Orlando and I drop off in Orlando, I drop all the way down to 56 cents a mile.
Wow.
I'm not going to do that. You just can't ask me and say, hey, go cut your pay in half or drive back empty. At least if I go to Port Canaveral, I can stick around there, set destination filter, come back, and I still get my $1 plus a mile. But the one thing I've noticed is it's a lot of it's how you talk to people.
Oh yeah.
If you walk up and you just say, "Oh, I'm not taking this because you're going to Orlando unless you pay me more," well, I wouldn't respond great to that.
I won't even. I'm not even going to throw my hat in this one because, to be honest, I've negotiated too much. Not too much money, but like to the point where, like people have said, "Hey, why don't we just turn the app off?"
Yeah, I mean, my highest negotiation was $1,000.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I got paid all the way from Oklahoma City to Houston for the ride, and they gave me $1,000 to drive home.
Damn.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's somewhere to go.
Yeah. And I mean, well, as the airports were shut down, these people had to go. I mean, they either take me up on it or they can wait on that flight to come back around. It could be 2-3 days. Never know.
How long was that drive? Full round trip?
I don't know. I stopped on the way. Like once I got down there, I stopped and got a hotel, of course, and drove back.
Right.
I don't remember right now. I can Google it though. I mean, I can make it all in one trip. It's nothing like long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Oklahoma City to Houston, Texas is 7 hours if you don't hit traffic.
Can you imagine negotiating on food deliveries?
Right. I'm not taking this.
We've seen
How
that.
How bad
though.
do you really want these chicken McNuggets tonight?
Hey, we've seen that. We just haven't seen do it for money. As these people, have you seen those? Like, hey, do you want to give me sexual favors? Like what's wrong with these people?
Yeah.
We're losing our
Oh, that's
minds,
driving.
man. We're losing our minds.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you about driver rideshare safety, but I was like,
So I just saw a driven dad come in here too, and I need to ask John this because Hannibal, when you were asking about, aren't you just paid the certain amount? I know it didn't last forever, but I mean, I talked to Sergio about this in depth, like when they did have the set your own rate.
Oh, in California?
What we should have as independent contractors is set your own rate. But wow, when I heard what that did, I mean, he was like, people were like nickel and diming out of the airport lot. And I mean, they were like, there were rides for nothing.
It was a race to the bottom.
But it was the drivers were now racing to the bottom from the bottom.
I've always said that. Any type of independent work, you're going to have a race to the bottom. I mean, actually, any type of job, it's a race to the bottom. Look at Uber, Lyft, they're racing to the bottom. Food delivery now, they're racing to the bottom. Who can pay the least amount?
Right.
and people
same thing.
And people are taking the $2 orders and taking $3 orders.
I feel like if you like under that model or whatever, it should have been like rate the cars, because I'll tell you what, I wouldn't just bargain shop. I would shop for the one I want, but if like instead of rating drivers, you were rating the cars. I've had drivers who live out of their cars with their stinky laundry in the back.
Damn.
I mean, I can't believe it, because the way I would keep my car during rideshare is like immaculate. I treated it like I wanted them to feel like they were getting into a brand new car.
That's how my car is too.
But then I would get a car.
Mine is a brand new car.
If I get the driver though, who has the crappy car that's just stinks and things are broken, like why do I want that ride?
Well, I had to take an Uber whenever I was getting my windows tinted and everything. They would show up, they would clearly smokers. I could smell it in their car.
Right.
Trashy car, stuff all over the floor. You can tell they haven't wiped it down or vacuumed it in months.
Yeah. Or don't worry about that, just step on it.
You can sit on that. You can sit on it.
Just
over
kind
there.
Just kind of swipe it onto the floorboard. I'll pass on. Yeah, I'm like you, Steve. Whenever my car stays, and not just for rideshare. I like a clean car. I don't know, something about a clean car makes me feel really good to drive it. Even food delivery. I mean, like I don't put food in my front seats or my rear seats. It all goes in my trunk, in my catering bags. Everything goes in my trunk. I like it neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just me. So yeah, even if it was food, because I used to end my day filling up my tank, and then I had a car wash membership right next door to where I got my gas at the end of the day. And then I have a vacuum in my garage and all the stuff I need for if it needed to be cleaned on the inside. I mean, this is something delivery drivers don't do.
Well, it's just you guys are taking pride of what you're doing. Just some pride there. It's something you care about, and I think a lot of the people who are doing this kind of work, because there's so many of us doing it. There's some people who put no effort. The way they dress, the way they communicate with people, how some even in food delivery, how rude they can be, impatient. Like there's a lot of like ability just to do the job is such a big problem. And again, we're not doing brain surgery. Very, very easy job that we're doing. And some people came and do like the bare minimum of like taking pride of what you're doing and how you present yourself.
Yeah. But John, were you doing anything with gig work around that time? Were you using or were you driving or taking Ubers and Lyfts when you were able to see bidding?
No, actually, I don't think I've taken an Uber ever since the pandemic started. But before that, I would just pay whatever the Uber X cost, and that's pretty much it.
Wasn't it right before the pandemic though?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. Sometimes I would end up in downtown LA, whatever the rate was, and that's what I paid for it. I don't know. I never had a driver ask me, for more or try to negotiate.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how it looked from the user app. I'm just curious, like if you got on there, it was like Do you want an Uber X for $5 or for $15 or $3?
Well, I had some Maximo users, that are in California as well, and they were not setting anything less than 5x, and they were getting rides because eventually what happens is all these lowball people get taken up, and then you have to go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
and I think it's come back around to one of those things that we've all said it many times: value yourself.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Know what you need to do and pivot and all that. So the only other two things I had for tonight, and then guys, we'll wrap it up because on Thursdays for these roundtables, everyone's going to be different, and the other ones are completely different. Super cool. I don't think we'll be back on a rideshare one. So this was kind of a test tonight, but I wanted to talk about what's going on with gas. I know that even delivery drivers are affected. I've been getting some killer curry orders. I sent Gary a couple, and Hannibal, you were just talking with. I was so interested. I came into yours a couple minutes late tonight, right as I was running in the house. That's why I was kind of a little late getting set up because I was actually super interested in what was it? Was it Tavares or?
Yeah, Tavares Little. Hopefully the video pops up on my feed. I don't know if it got there yet, but he has a van, and he does actually a little bit of everything. I mean, he's put me on a couple of apps I didn't even heard of. Was it Freight and Hello Tech? Never even heard those two.
I'm on Freight.
So I think Hello Tech. I was looking at this, and I don't know. I'm very old, but it was like 1999. They had the same thing before they had Geek Squad.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did this because I would at the time 1999 2000. I just finished computer college, and so I would go out to people's houses. I'd install hard drives and motherboards and things like all that, and it's the same thing as what Hello Tech does.
Yeah, you got some, got money setting up a iPhone 13 for older dude. Probably didn't want to deal with all that. I think he transferred information from Android to the iPhone. So he did a little bit of everything, but his specialty is courier work. And even I asked him, what do you think about the gas? He's like, well, the gas is the gas. I can control it. I'm still got to do what I got to do.
Well, his was a little, luckily for him, it was a little cheaper than a lot of us.
He's in, I think he's in South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
What was his gas prices?
I think he said 330.
Yeah, he was like, it's up to 330. I was like, what?
It's 350 here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
$5.
Because I'm kind of getting I'm getting ready to. I've talked to Joel at Dumpling, and I'm kind of getting ready to take on a dumpling challenge of setting up something where I might never do grocery shopping, never, but more like what he's doing. Like all the things he's doing could be done through Dumpling with their credit card.
Yeah.
So like everything I heard him saying, it was like all these.
Another thing that he was making good money on, which I've heard about this and I totally forgot about it, but he reminded me, installing TV mounts, like mounting TVs to the wall. That's one thing that everyone needs to do and do it well. Because I had a friend who did mines, and luckily it never fell, but he didn't put in any. There were no beams that he was putting into. Wow. But so he said he has a little side thing of people hitting him up to install TV mounts. So I'm assuming with Dumpling you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I think a lot of people don't know this, and this goes with pretty much anything. As soon as you're done with whatever gig app you're doing, as soon as you hit complete, you are no longer working for that customer that you just worked for. Exactly. So you can negotiate any other type of work that they want.
Yeah.
I think it would be, exactly. So I mean, I like to think of them as clients. So yes. And so that actually brought me to, okay, here's a question for everybody here. So I liked what he was talking about. I have different things in mind because I looked into something. So like right now, to be a notary, okay? A lot of people don't want to go to places that they used to have to go to get things notarized. And I'm not just talking about like a personal document, like where, might be for work and whatnot, but there's a huge demand for notary on the run. So like that's another thing that I could put into my dumpling model, right? I could be able to notarize. I could be able to do this. I could be like the personal assistant with few limits of what I would do. You know, I mean, basically like, and just kind of keep entering new things, basically unlimited. You just have a nice profile because you get they give you the credit card, you know, as long as like what you're doing, you're clarifying if it's going to go over the amount. That's why I'm talking with Joel to see if he can set me up with like a concept like this where I'm not even going after the food market. Maybe for a couple people, I don't know. But it's more to have a true my own business because I like, okay. So if I'm on Instacart, you guys know I hate it. Let's yeah, let's pretend I just said, you know what, I am going to do food delivery on dumpling. Should I go out and should I go out in a blaze of glory, do every Instacart run, and staple my dumpling card to it? But just until I'm caught in it, you might not even get caught for a while.
Yeah, because Instacart, you know, customer is not going to flip. Oh, I got this card. Like, you know, I mean,
no, yeah, and it doesn't have to be for grocery delivery. It could be Steve Dumpling, the dumpling cards, and you know, hey, I offer a ton of services. Check out my profile.
I've heard the argument.
Is that immoral though? Am I a bad person?
That's what I was going to ask, or that's what I was going to talk about, because I heard this before where someone said, I forgot who said it. It was actually a content creator, but I can't remember the name. If you went to DoorDash and said, you know, or not DoorDash, you're doing DoorDash, you went to a restaurant and said, hey, I can do this for you. Let's cut the minimum amount. I'll kind of hang around here and do it. That person said that was a bad thing. Huh?
Wasn't it Pedro that said that?
No, Pedro. No, I think Pedro had an idea about that, but he didn't say it was bad. He was trying to do it. But that idea is bad. Like, you're taking work from people. And that was a whole thing. But I would not mind it. You know, developing relationships for you with yourself, with the company, I don't see that as a problem at all. They're using the tablet, they're using the platform because they're looking for labor. They're looking for someone to do the job. But if you come in and say, hey, I can do it, you already know me, we're comfortable, you can trust me, you know, you have to worry about me stealing the food, you know, that kind of thing. I think that's a better idea.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see anything wrong. I mean, even though they did a terrible job whenever I got my window tint the first time, I went to a stereo shop to get my stereo put in, and they said, hey, we're now doing window tint. Do you want us to do it since you're already here? Same concept.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I am very in touch with my moral compass and what I'm okay with and what I'm not. I don't often like sit there and have to like ponder it. Like, I just know right off. Like, if I think of something and it's questioned, like if anybody might go, I just know where I stand immediately. Like, oh, I'm fine with that, or I'm not. It's within a half a second.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I show up to mow your lawn and I see that your house needs to be painted, I don't care that I offer to paint your house. I mean,
right, but I think the only thank you for making a nice comparison. But I think the only thing that's different is that you're working on the platform. But like you said, Gary, the second I drop it off, I'm not working for them.
Yeah.
So if I drop it, take the picture, and then I staple my card to it, it was on my time.
Or what you could do is, if you have flyers, you can put them in the door, like, you know, like you're like walking the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, you could kind of keep track of where you drop, but then I was like, God, these people would think you're such a stalker if you came back like the next day and put a flyer. Hey, I delivered some Instacart to you, and I got my own business. And they
no. I mean, same time you're doing the Instacart, go ahead and slide a flyer in between the door. You know.
Well, I would, but see, yeah, I hear you. I'm just, it doesn't have to be stapled. If you're meaning like, you know, hey, somebody else could have done it. I'm wanting them to associate me with that order. Like, I did such a good job that, you know, and then they go to my profile on Dumpling and they would say, oh, he can shop at any store. Like, cause here in Denver, there's specialty meat stores, specialty cheese stores, specialty, where a lot of people want things from there, and they don't just want Safeway or Whole Foods or They want other things, you know, and
or
all
they
that's
might,
negotiable.
just want the other store, but they're not available in the app, so they settle for Walmart. You know,
Yeah.
You can be really creative. Just even thinking about this, you can be really creative of what you can do and how you can leverage certain things and provide a service that, like I said, they may not even be able to get with certain apps. So the dumpling thing seems to be very limitless of what you can do with it. I know I've saw a few
Exactly.
conversations you had.
It's
I'm thinking
it's business.
some things are rolling around in my head right now. I'm thinking,
It's
like,
right.
yeah.
It's business. I mean, its business model is go out and start food, and even all the roundtables and things I've done on with with the dumpling people and their successes, and that you truly own a business and it's your business. On top of that, I'm just now seeing you don't even have to do deliveries. And I asked Joel, I straight up asked him. I mean, him and I have known each other a long time, and I said, listen, you know. And I kind of told him the same idea, a little more detailed than we're talking about right here. And he was like, I'm fine with that. And I was like, well, what are my limits? If I'm really looking at this honestly, like there has to be some. He's like, no sex.
My mind went to,
it was the first thing he said to me. He was like, just no sex. You can't be charging for sex on the dumpling card.
God, yeah, that's
or you can't have people paying you on the dumpling card for sex.
Good.
That's a cash transaction.
Yeah.
It's not legal.
You could do it just on the card.
Well, you
no,
probably
so
could
even
do
if
it.
you're
You
in
could like
Nevada,
deliver.
you can't
You
have
could
a
deliver a
dumpling
thing of
business.
milk, and then like Gary does, like just kind of talk to him and say, "Hey, you want that? You got to tip me $400 on the milk."
Hey, if you want extra anchovies on your pizza, remember that movie?
Oh boy.
So okay, here's
I do got a question about dumplings since you know
okay,
Joel.
Go ahead.
Is there a max limit as far as spending?
So
like
that's
per transaction.
I've done a couple interviews with him. The first one, we went through that in detail. I said, what do you, because he had a smaller limit. It did used to be 500, but all you had to do was call and say, hey, I need it extended. And they would give you like, they'd ask you some questions like, you know, because all the services here in the United States, they'd be like, well, are you there at the store? No, but I'm heading there now. So they'd give you like a 2-hour block, and then it would go away where you have an additional. But one thing that he ran into and realized he needed to do this for kind of like on a much bigger scale was Thanksgiving. He realized that $500 and Christmas, he realized $500 was like 3/4 of the workers were needing to go over that 500 limit almost on every order. Because the type of people that were using these people as their shoppers were like, hey, I need you to go get my whole spread for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And so it'd be like $700. So all these customers or all these dumpling workers were calling and going, I need an extension. I need an extension. So it did go up. They have different models too, you know, like, do you need 5 cards? Because you can have people working for you. They used to have a dual thing in case like you and your significant other wanted to do it together under one account. But anything can be okayed. You can call them and you can say, I'm at Best Buy. This person wants me to get a TV. Where it falls on you, I don't know. You know, I mean, obviously the dumpling, I don't have an account set up yet, so I don't know. Right. But I would love to see like if somebody wants a $3,000 TV and I got a call for that extension, are they paying before?
See, that's what I'm wondering is how to, I mean, you can say, you know, people all day long, but at some point, you know, what if their card gets declined, you know, that they're trying to purchase from you?
Well,
you know?
so
it's like,
okay. Well, I think that's how it would work then, because same as like a grocery store. If you're like, hey, I'm going to need to spend $800 on this, they need to up your amount. So if you're like, hey, I need to go get a TV. It's a good question, but my guess is that it would be, okay, well, let them pay for it. However they can do that, and then we'll allow the $3,000 on your credit card to go get it.
Maybe they do a pre-auth, you think?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, and maybe, you know, once it gets over certain amounts, they have a whole new system where like somebody calls them even, hey, did you order this? Because we're going to process it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm very like Hannibal's. I see his brain working. where when he was talking,
I mean,
the wheels were spinning. It's
just like you're talking to people like. If you have you have a skill that people are willing to pay for, and then you say you can use this service, you can kind of go. And like I said, there's no limit except that one thing that you can
No
really
sex.
figure some stuff out. Again, that one thing can't do that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool. I'm gonna look up more on dumpling though. Definitely.
But I mean, like even Hannibal,
food and grocery stuff.
Your Rover business.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
what I was
mean,
gonna say,
would you feel? And I know maybe that's not a good example because you've developed deep relationships with some of these people. But like, if you got a new Rover client who's like, "Oh, I hate these extra fees," and you're just in your head, you're going, "Oh, I could do such a better deal for you."
Yeah.
Do you have an issue with that?
Usually, sometimes they even come to me and say, "I don't want to deal with Rover or whatever." Yeah, and it just goes straight to Venmo or Cash App or something like that. So, I guess I'm thinking about other things. So, because I think
all that out on dumpling.
Yeah, thinking like other services, something else. I mean, like this guy's like, I'm making money putting TV mounts on the wall. I'm like, yeah, why the hell I should. I mean, I don't know how to do it yet, but he didn't know how to do it yet, and he booked something. He has to do the next day. He went on YouTube, figured it out, did it next day.
And you're already insured by a different company. I mean,
right, and that
as
is
far
a big
as the
portion.
learning part.
Well, they also have you insured on a lot of those. I mean, you'd still need to go get some, become a business, go get some insurance. But even when I've done some of those roundtables, they also have you insured for like, because I know that when I asked Joel, a lot of dumpling users have been asked by their customers, hey, do you mind if I give you a key to the house? Like Celeste, who I've had on a couple times. She's one of the most famous dumpling people in the country out of Atlantic City, Jersey. And she's already hiring more people and whatnot, but she has a ring of keys that looks like a janitor's. It's got like 17 keys on it, house keys. And she's like, all these people have asked me, they'll pay me more money if I'll put the groceries away. Would I let their dog out while I'm there? Hey, do you mind doing this? Could you do this? Like just other tasks, and you just can change the rate.
Yeah. And you can it's really flexible when you are able to develop a real relationship with a client, a real relationship with, like I said, with a business. And I think the problem is with these apps, there's no real relationship. It's very cold, and you do get paid, but like if something goes wrong, they will cut you loose without even thinking about it. Like I said, press a button and that's it, Steve, you're gone. Like, yeah, maybe the customer lied, but we rather deal with the customer than, you know what I mean? So it's like,
or maybe you did nothing wrong and you're still gone.
Wrong. But like I said, with other more intimate, like I said, dumpling, we're able to develop a relationship where they say, I trust you. You've proved yourself. Here's the key. You can do these other things. And it's a beautiful thing when you really develop a relationship with the people you're working with.
Right. I guess that's when you got to look at the dumpling model, though, and like look at yourself and your business and say, and this is why I want to keep having conversations with people like Celeste or some of the other participants I've had in these, like Matt up in Chicago, who know, but like, where is, where does your liability lie now while you're in a house? Things of that nature. But the one thing I really love about this dumpling thing is that, like you just said, Hannibal, I have like the past few weeks, I've been laser focused on it. Like, man, this is I don't even know if I need to do any groceries, but this is a way to do everything I do. Anything I want to do. I mean, you can go set up a business and do that as well, people. But I mean, it's a platform where you might even get some cold leads just because your proximity is close to somebody searching for a shopper.
Well, and this is a low-cost solution to get started.
Right. Yeah. It's a great entry. And then, in the way I've looked at it, and every dumpling shopper I've talked to who's successful said the same thing. It's a little bit of a slow start. So make sure you got other things going on at the time, or keep working the apps. But once you build 1, 2, 3, 4 clients, they're all going to bring you in 2 to 4 clients. Because somebody's going to say, dude, who's getting all these groceries for? How do you have all this extra? What the hell is going on? And they're like, oh, I stopped using all the apps, so this guy does everything for me.
Yeah. And I think most people, or not, well, a fair amount of people who have the resources and they do well, they rather deal with the person rather than the app. Because a lot of them either they're so busy, they don't got time to deal with the app. They either setting up. I know Rover is not the best user interface that they have. They rather just, hey, can you do this? They'll text, can you just do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then the money, exchange hands, whatever. They rather deal with a person, human being, rather than dealing with a lot of these apps.
Yeah. Well, that's an hour and a half, you guys. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to let everybody say goodbye. And I want John to show his book because
he's an author,
Gary can show John.
Gary, yours is better condition than mine.
which in case people don't know, we'll put it in I'll put it in the show notes. You just got to send me a link of wherever you want him buying it from. Is it Amazon probably?
Oh, I just posted the Amazon link to his store on Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
So I'm gonna plug that one to the top.
Yeah, and he has more than just that one book. He has a few Kindle, other ones. The Entrepreneur Cheat Sheet as well.
Yeah,
the College Survival one as well.
Right. I mean, I've known this about John, but I didn't know if any of these people knew this about John, because a lot of times when I see John on things, it doesn't get talked about. So this is the first time.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that he's an author. I think they just think that he's another gig driver. But I mean, look at him. Look at that watch. Look at that big old watch.
All worth $50.
I got my watch on too.
No, actually, I just got the book today, and I'm like I said, I'm only up to page 8 because I had other stuff going on. But so far, it's really good. I got past the introduction page, and he even signed it for me. That was even nice too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, I got through the introduction, and I mean, it's already caught my eye, just the first few pages. So I'll be reading that over the next week.
So John, which of your books? I mean, is it your first, or which of your books should people jump into if they were gonna get one?
I would say the one that Gary showed. That's just, it appeals to a broader audience.
Okay.
The second one, the cheat sheet, that works too, but it's more about marketing. The first one, if you're not in college, you're probably not gonna get the most value out of it. So I would say definitely the new one.
Okay, so the newest one, and there's a total of 3 or 2.
3 books. Yep.
3. Okay. So what was the published date, or year, so I can say it?
2020, when it was last year.
Okay, so guys, if you go find his book, that's pinned up there, and I'll put it in the show notes as well. Look for the 2021 one and start there, I guess.
Hannibal, it's the one with the red cover on it.
Yeah.
Hannibal, what do you got? What do you got going on? And I don't know. What do you got going on this week?
Who knows? Actually, next week I'm going to be interviewing. Now he changed his name. His name was once Driving Addict.
Oh, okay.
I guess for algorithm
he lives out here.
Yeah, his name is DoorDash Delivery on YouTube.
Wait, is he?
I don't have it. I haven't really talked to him before, so I don't, but follow him on TikTok. He has a good TikTok following. He drops a lot of content every day, a lot of like micro videos.
Yeah.
He's very.
He
funny
lives
dude.
here in Colorado.
Yeah, he's very funny dude.
Yeah, he lives he actually lives in Commerce City. He lives about 5-10 miles from me.
Yeah, he drops. I feel like he's like an anti-hero mixed with like a heel. Like he just, he'll go to Chipotle, sees all of the the orders sitting there. He's like, look, go get the, you should get a bus. Go take a bus and get your order. Don't be broke. Yeah. Tip. No, it's like he's very, really funny. So I'll be talking to him on Tuesday.
And he's also, if I'm right, I mean, I don't want to speak out of line, but I'm pretty sure he's making a documentary too.
What? Well, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Really
because, and I only said that because on Instagram I saw a picture of his apartment in Commerce City, and it was loaded with it looked like Joe's apartment.
Oh,
cool. Dark Road Run. There was all kinds of stuff, and I had to ask him, dude, what is? And he's like, we're doing a documentary right now.
Wow.
All right.
So I didn't get to get too far into it, but Gary, what do you got going on?
I mean, I just released an update to Max Mode today. So if you use Maximo, make sure you go update your app for that. Grubhub did an update to their app, so I had to update Maximo. The driver's utility helper app, it's getting an update sometime this week as well. Hopefully by the end of this weekend. I did just update it last week, but then I'm trying to make it look a little bit visually better and capture a little bit more of the data and breakdown and things of that nature.
Awesome. I got the podcast. I got some other things going on. It has been a couple of crazy weeks for me, but next Thursday we'll be back here, and next Thursday is different. We're going to do that re-premiere with Tremaine. Man, he's weird. I really love that guy, but man, he's weird. I mean, I guess all movie makers are if you really get down to it. But that's gonna be fun. And then after that, we'll continue these roundtables. We got some great guests lined up, you guys, and I'll post it. I just want to get one last confirmation. But we have them all, and at least for the next several weeks. So, and then we have a Maximo roundtable coming up, which will not be a roundtable like this. It will be one that, it'll be separate of this, where we're going to have some veteran Maximo users. And I did happen to find a gig tuber and rideshare driver that I've known for a long time, who used to use the Para app and has been using Maximo for the past few weeks. And so, because I was looking for a new one, a new person to be app, because the two that I've found through the Facebook group are very veteran.
Oh yeah, they've been using it for like 4 years.
Yeah. And when I talked to Bruce, he was like as fluent as like you in it almost.
Yeah,
it was like,
he like I say, he's one of my top beta testers.
Yeah, so it was like I didn't want to have a bunch of people like that. So this will be good, because he actually approached me after hearing the audio podcast, my buddy, and he said, "I'll come on." He said, "I'm now using it, and it's I'm new to it, and so that'll be fun, because I'm sure there'll be questions and or little things he'll go, oh, you can do that, and that'll make it on
Maximo there's actually hidden stuff on Maximo too. I didn't tell you that.
But does Bruce know it?
I don't know if Bruce knows it or not, but yeah, there's like certain things. Like whenever I develop an app, I put a lot of features into the app that I use personally for myself. Like for example, the driver's utility helper and Maximo are two different apps. For the longest time, though, I actually had the driver's utility helper controlling Maximo as well. That was just my version. Well,
Right.
I released that last week to everybody, but I've been having that for like I don't know a year and a half now. And so each one of my apps, they usually have some type of hidden feature. If you press and hold a button long enough or something like that, it'll actually do stuff.
Like
And
Easter
I
eggs,
just
right?
like Easter eggs. I just don't tell people about them.
Yeah. Okay. Are you the only one who knows?
No, I mean, there's some people that figure it out. Like right now, the current version of Driver's Utility Helper has an Easter egg in it. I'm not going to tell everybody what it is, but certain people that run it, they know about it already, and they're trying to post it in my Facebook group, and I just keep declining the post.
You know that you're getting people here in the live chat, and people will rewatch this who are like, "What do you mean you won't tell us?"
That's kind of funny. Like, and then,
I guess that's
the
a
first
good.
thing I'm gonna
That's
do, like, go on
that's a
there and
good,
start pressing everything.
You should always do like some kind of like, hey, be the first one to find it, and I'll send you a $50 Visa card or something.
Well, I know, what is it? 4 years ago, or no, 5.5 years ago, whenever I the first Christmas for Maximo, you could actually make it snow and have Santa fly across your screen.
Wow,
But it was
that's
a
cool.
hidden Easter egg. Nobody knew about it. You had to, kind of like Facebook, you have to click the Facebook logo, but you had to click
Yeah.
a certain part of the app and hold it, and then here came Santa. And like I don't know, like 3 people found out about it, and then like everybody just was messaging me about it. So ever since then, I've always included some small Easter egg that I don't release to anybody.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and so that way when they're finding it, they're like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, awesome. So everybody join us back here next week, because the movie that we're going to watch is Rideshare. It was done by Hey Ho Studios, and a friend of mine was the writer, director, and producer, Tremaine Hey Ho. and it released on Prime, and it took away from its YouTube hits. His goal was 1 million 4K. It's in 4K on YouTube, and his goal was 1 million hits. He got to just under, he's like at 238 or 237. And we've come up with some ways to maybe give it a little bit of a kickstart. And he's left his YouTube channel alone a bit. He's made other movies. He actually just made one that's like, well, we'll go through it all tomorrow, but or next week, but he's a great guy. We're going to watch it together and try and get that kind of maybe back in the some sharing and whatnot of the movie, because it had some real steam until it just died off at the pandemic. And it's because he stopped creating on the website so much. So, but it was moving quick. And I know people saw it on Prime and whatnot, but he's going to be here, and we're going to be, and I already told him I'm not going to mute the mic. So we're going to be able to talk over the movie.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
We're going to talk over the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's, just don't
Commentary.
not like this, just like, oh my God, there he is. Don't kill him. Like, or kill him.
I'll make sure I mute
not
my
talking,
mic.
just like kind of, just kind of like, oh no, just kind of horror comments.
No, don't take that long trip.
Or Tremaine, Tremaine, why'd you do that here? Why didn't you do what the, we can question. So
Can you pause the movie when you ask some questions like that?
Yeah, but we probably could, but I think I'd really like to get through it though. Probably get through it and then maybe have like 15-minute Q&A and just knock them out.
How's Hannibal's game coming? I need to know how that game is.
The last time I played it was the time I played it. I thought that was a boring game. Don't buy it, Gary. Don't go on Steam and buy it. It's boring. It's terrible.
Do you want me to make you a better one? I'll make you a better one.
You should make it better. And yeah, it just.
You were gonna finish it though. It was
I'm gonna finish it. I think one of these days I'm really got nothing going on. I'm gonna stream the whole thing. Me playing.
Maybe it was one of those games where you're right at that point where it's about to get awesome.
Well, the last time he was playing it, he was like, "All right, I'm done with this game," and then something interesting happened.
Yeah, something happened where I saved a woman from I think a potted plant or something about to fall on her head.
And she asked you to come in, or you had different ideas.
Yeah.
What game is this?
No comment. I have no comment on that one.
I don't know.
Don't use the dumpling card for that.
It's like some Uber Eats delivery game, like on a bicycle where nobody lives.
Yeah, Urban Eats, and he rides a bicycle.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Plot twist: Uber Eats is a game.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, looking forward to these upcoming ones too, and we will see you back here next week. If y'all could stay 1 minute.
Yeah.
What did he do? What did he do? Oh, jeez.
We're still live.
But we're still live.
You can't end it. So he needs to come back. We can't.
He has to come back.